My son was kidnapped 8 weeks ago, and he wasn't taken by a drug cartel or a criminal organization. He was taken from my home in broad daylight by the state of Texas. How could this happen? These were the thoughts that were running through my mind when I watched this happen to my friends Ashley and Daniel a few weeks ago. I had to put myself in their shoes. How would I feel if this were my son being ripped from me? Drake is 4 years old and he's had a lot of medical needs, and his parents took him to Children's Medical Center in Dallas. One of the doctors from Children's Medical Center, who had never seen Drake, never spoken to him, never spoken to the parents, never given Drake any type of medical care, did a partial review of Drake's medical file and reported the family to Child Protective Services. The next day, CPS showed up at the family's house and left a business card on their door. CPS had also never met the family, never met Drake, and never spoken to a single doctor or other person who had any first-hand knowledge of any of Drake's medical conditions. All the same, CPS showed up at the family's house unannounced and without warning 2 weeks later with armed police officers and forcibly removed him from his home. Drake has never come back home. So Ashley and Daniel went to court to figure out why. Why was Drake taken? What had they done wrong? What was the emergency? And I went to court with them. What we heard there shocked all of us. CPS gave 2 reasons for why Drake had to be removed from his home in an emergency. They said that the family had failed to attend a meeting with the hospital on June 10th. But CPS also testified under oath that they had intentionally not informed the family that that meeting was happening. So how was the family supposed to show up at a meeting that they didn't know was taking place? The second reason that CPS gave why Drake had to be removed from his home was because of the doctor who originally reported the family to CPS. But that doctor got up on the stand and testified under oath that she had not reviewed all of Drake's medical records, never thought there was an emergency requiring that Drake be removed from his home, never requested that Drake be removed from his home, and was surprised to learn that Drake had been removed from his home. But worst of all, when that doctor was asked how her medical recommendations could be met as long as Drake remained in CPS care, she said, "I don't know." You would think that after all of this was laid out publicly that CPS would admit their error and back down. But instead, CPS dug in their heels and refused to admit their mistake in order to save face. Instead of returning Drake, I watched CPS stand up in the courtroom and ask the judge to keep Drake even longer. And unbelievably, the judge closed his eyes to the facts and allowed CPS to keep Drake for up to a year. Ashley and Daniel are living a nightmare. Their son is 4 years old. He needs to be home with his family who loves him, not with a government agency who's gone out of control and refuses to admit its error. But there's one other twist that you need to know about this. At the end of that court hearing, the judge put a gag order on Ashley and Daniel. If they spoke with the media or were part of this video or posted on Instagram about what's happening to their son, they could be thrown in jail. Ashley and Daniel can't stand up for their own son because the court put a gag order on them. Drake can't stand up for himself because he's 4 years old and he's being held in state custody. The state of Texas has refused to stand up for Drake. They're the ones who kidnapped him from his home. CPS protects thousands of children, but they're not protecting Ashley and Daniel's son. Drake is experiencing the most traumatizing event of his life. He's been ripped from his family and he's being held by the state with no end in sight. So who will speak up for Drake? Who is even left to protect him? We are. We are Drake's last hope. If we don't stand up for Drake, no one else will. CPS, the judge, and the hospital need to be held accountable. We will not rest until we bring Drake home. Take action at bringdrakehome.com. We are the only ones left who can speak for Drake. Don't be silent. Visit bringdrakehome.com to see how you can help.